Our old friend Lee Fang is with us, one of the finest investigative reporters working in the world, period, hands down. Reporting fellow with the Investigative Fund, the Nation Institute, and the author of his most recent book, The Machine, a field guide to the Resurgent right, his website, and in this case, the reporting for thenation.com. Lee, welcome back to the program.
Hey, nice to be with you, Tom.
Thanks for joining us. I'm reading your piece here, how spy agency contractors have already abused their power. And there's a bunch of jaw droppers in here. One of them was your phrase, the venture capital arm of the CIA?
Yeah, that's right. In the late 90s, the CIA wanted to kind of leapfrog the bureaucracy and develop more technology companies that they could work with in the future. And they created a venture capital company called In-Q-Tel. And they've gone on to fund a lot of the private sector contractors that today make up the kind of intelligence agency industrial complex.
Now, I was reading yesterday that Booz Allen Hamilton is owned by the Carlyle Group. Is that the case?
Yeah, they own a majority stake in that company. That's correct.
And is the Carlyle Group entirely American-owned? I thought that there was at least one Saudi sheikh who was a major investor in it.
I don't have the current makeup of the Carlyle Group, but I believe it's an international company. There are executives all over the world that take part in leading that investment group.
Shouldn't that raise some questions in the minds of Americans?
Well, look, there are, as the Washington Post reported, over 500 companies involved in intelligence agency contracting. Some of these are small startups, but others are large companies with subsidiaries or ownership stakes all over the world. That's simply the nature of the industry, that it's so large and it's outsourced much of its work. I believe it's been reported that 70% of the intelligence agency budget has been outsourced to private industry.
Wow, 70%. So the title of your piece, How Spy Agency Contractors Have Already Abused Their Power. How have they already abused their power?
Well, in the story that very few media outlets picked up, I believe you covered this in the Washington Post 2 years ago. When I was at Think Progress, we uncovered that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and later Bank of America reached out to a set of spy agency contractors, Palantir, Barrico, and H.B. Gary Federal, to develop a plan to spy on and hack liberal activists, journalists, groups that were perceived as a threat to both the Chamber of Commerce and Bank of America. In particular, Bank of America was concerned that WikiLeaks would release private information about the bank, and so the private contractors that had been solicited to work for the bank developed a plan to smear Glenn Greenwald, who's, again, at the center of this kind of news storm. But 2 years ago, they set out to harm him. And on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, they they developed a plan to spy on and hack into the computers owned by the SEIU, the Center for American Progress, and a lot of other left-leaning groups. Yeah,
in fact, in your article, you quote a 2010 a memo, I guess, from H.B. Gary Federal's Aaron Barr. Correct me if I have any of this wrong. This is an email, actually. He says, I think we need to highlight people like Glenn Greenwald. Glenn was critical in the Amazon to OVH data center transition and helped WikiLeaks provide access to information during that transition. It is this level of support we need to attack. These are established professionals that have a liberal bent, but ultimately most of them, if pushed, will choose professional preservation over cause, such as the mentality of most business professionals. Without the support of people like Glenn Greenwald, WikiLeaks would fold. End of quote. Really? This guy, this is a law firm planning the destruction of an American reporter?
That's right. You know, and what's kind of incredibly revealing about that quote and the whole proposal that was connected to it was that these military contractors, on behalf of these corporations, said, you know, we don't have to worry about these normal, traditional journalists. We have to worry about the journalists who are motivated by principle, because they're the most dangerous. We can't just threaten their bottom line, because they're going to keep speaking truth to power. So it's folks like Glenn Greenwald, like Thom Hartmann,
like Lee Fang.
folks who are, well, the media outlets that are doing this because they care about social justice, about the public interest that can't be silenced. They're the most dangerous, and those are the folks that they plan to really go after and harm.
And have they done so yet?
We don't know. The whole reason we know about these proposals to hack Glenn Greenwald or the Center for American Progress was just out of a coincidence. One of the military contractors involved bragged about what they were doing to the Financial Times. That provoked Anonymous to go after them and to hack into their emails and leak the plan. 75,000 emails were leaked onto the Pirate Bay. That's where I found them and reported on the story 2 years ago. But can you imagine how many other private contractors that have this type of technology? Like I said, there's 500 of them that currently work, at least 500 of them that currently work with intelligence agencies that could be selling this technology to any other domestic or foreign interest that, would like to take someone down, that would like to use this technology to harm someone.
Amazing. So these, wow. I've been saying for some time, we're talking with Lee Fang, and he's writing for The Nation right now, thenation.com, and his most recent book is The Machine, and if you don't have it, you should get it. It's a brilliant, brilliant book, a field guide to the Resurgent right. Lee, my rant for the last 3 days, today's Wednesday, since Monday, has been, this isn't about whether or not, Edward Snowden is a hero or a goat. This isn't about, whether the NSA ultimately even should be gathering up all of our phone numbers. That's something that Congress should have some oversight over, and arguably did. And I mean, I think they failed us, and the president failed us in signing the Patriot Act, the new revision of the Patriot Act, and FISA and all that kind of thing. But ultimately, this is about the fact that private for-profit corporations are now in the business of gathering intelligence, and therefore, because the Supreme Court has said that money is speech, and that corporations have rights under the Constitution to lobby Congress and to influence public opinion, their efforts are going to be to grow their industry, to lobby for more money, for more national security, and we're going to get a national security state whether we want it or not, just because it's profitable. Am I making sense?
That makes perfect sense, and I hope that you're talking about this, but I hope that becomes the national conversation, because this is the issue. Part of the reason that we've seen such an explosion in the size of the surveillance state is not just because of the post-9/11 mindset. That is a very important factor, but we have kind of this self-perpetuating problem when we have these huge companies like CSC, like Northrop Grumman, like Lockheed Martin, like any of these folks. Not only do they receive these contracts, they then go and hire lobbyists, they fund trade associations, they fund dark money groups to then pressure Congress to give them more contracts.
And they hire PR firms to get the stories out about how scary the terrorists are.
No, that's right.
I mean, more Americans die slipping in the bathtub every year than are killed by terrorists. And yet we're frantic. Pardon me, I'm ranting. But we're out of time anyway. But it's Lee Fang, the brilliant piece in The Nation. Go to thenation.com to read it. The title is How Spy Agency Contractors Have Already Abused Their Power. Lee, good luck.
Great to talk to you, Tom. Take care.
Thanks so much for being with us, and stay safe, my friend. Stay safe. You're doing God's work. We'll be back.